Apparently it's wrong to have good posture now. All right. I'm gonna do the rest of this video like this. 10 out of 10. Wait a minute. You look so nice today. All right, I'm sorry for touching you. All right, put on your seatbelt, guys. We're gonna be taking a look at some art tutorials on TikTok.
Stop drawing eyes from a three-quarter perspective like this. To be honest, this has to be one of the hardest angles to draw eyes from. Like, just look at these eyes. They don't really look that bad, but they don't really look that good either. So instead, you're gonna wanna do this. Start off with a slightly curved line for the top of the eye. Then instead of doing the full shape of the eye, what you're gonna wanna do is use a straight line for the far side of the eye. You have to remember that the eye wraps around the face. So from this angle, we don't see the far corner of the eye. That's pretty
good.
much it.
This is very good. For those wondering why you don't see the full shape of the eye when you're viewing from this angle, it's because the eyeball is round and your eyelids are going to naturally wrap around the round shape of this eyeball. So as you turn your head, you see less of the far side of the eye, which is why it gets a little bit more squished. It's smaller, like your brain. 10 out of 10. People in the comments are saying those are two different angles. Stop it. Seek medical assistance. Yes, the angle is not a perfect one-to-one match, but the lesson still applies, okay? Don't be so technical, don't be so anal. Some things are not meant to go, stop it. And then there's this. What pencil do you use? What pencil? I want one, please. What pencil do you use for drawing? What kind of paper is that? Oh, it's not the tools, guys. It's the artist. You know what? I should make a video roasting these TikTok comments because y'all have been getting away with these for far too long. How I shade portraits. First, shade the face using a light pencil. 2B. Smudge it. Erase the highlights and use triangular shape to it. Okay. Make the outline sketch. Oh. That was it? That was it? Hatching technique for the final touch. Why do I feel like from here to here, we might have missed a step or two? 7 out of 10.
So this is a traditional 5-point perspective drawing. And this is the kind
I thought there were only 3.
of POV drawing I do more often, which actually isn't a 5-point perspective drawing. I only really utilize 4 vanishing points, and I omit the top one. I'm going to show you how to do a 5-point perspective and then how to do a 4-point perspective. To start your 5-point, draw a cross with a vertical and horizontal line the same length. The middle point is your central vanishing point. The top and bottom are your zenith and nadir vanishing points respectively, and the left and right are your left and right vanishing points. Then draw a circle all the way around.
So you're telling me top and bottom is called Zenith and Darth Vader and left and right is just called left and right? What the f?
Draw radiating lines from the center vanishing point, and then draw arcs from the top to the bottom vanishing point to the right and left of the center line. Similarly, draw arcs from the left to the right vanishing point above and below the horizon. That's your grid. From here, it's fairly easy to plug in your space. Just use the grid lines as cues for what direction your lines should go.
That's so sick. I mean, I've done fisheye perspective before, but this is the first time that I'm actually learning about the more technical side of it.
And when I make a POV sketch, I omit the top vanishing point. Instead, I make a horizon that's actually a little bit longer than the vertical center line. I draw the same radiating lines from the center vanishing point. Then I draw arcs from the left vanishing point to the right, above and below the horizon. But instead of arcs from the top vanishing point to the bottom vanishing point, I draw an upside down umbrella. So it's sort of open-ended at the top.
Oh.
And then plug in the information, the visual information, the same as before, using the grid as a guide. The difference now, though, is that after omitting that top vanishing point, I have a much more dynamic space. It feels like the space is sort of zooming out to meet the viewer, and you really feel immersed, almost enveloped in that space. It's a much more dynamic perspective, in my opinion. So that's why I do my POV drawings the way that I do.
Your POV drawings are nuts. You, Paul Heaston, you are a nutty man. You are absolutely full of nut. Look at this. Oh, fantastic. 10 out of 10. Well, gosh darn it, guys. TikTok's on a roll today.
How can we make this drawing less in need of criticism? This drawing comes to us by way of Marley, heart emoticon.
Kenton.
She is sort of stuck on how to improve and that her art needs some criticism. So I'm gonna go ahead and deconstruct this face. Now we're gonna go ahead and draw that eye line. If we assume that our nose should be about halfway between the eyes and the chin, and the mouth halfway again, we'll see that the lower 2 facial features are quite low. Not only that, but the eyes are a little bit too close together. If we trace the line up from the corner of each nostril, it should hit the inside of the eye. We can see it hits the inner eye as opposed to this outer edge.
So I'm gonna pause that right there before I lose this thought, but I think this is doing too much. If you're looking for proportions, find the hairline, the brow line, the nose, and the chin. And as soon as you have those, you're gonna have the three most important portions of the face. And on a normal person, those three sections are going to be equal in length. But if you wanted to stylize your characters, you could also expand the length of certain portions to make them look more exaggerated.
Alright, so here I've normalized the facial features just a little bit while maintaining that unique facial structure. I've also introduced a positive canthal tilt.
So this, I think, is a problem with people correcting people's art without a reference. And I'm guilty of this too, but we've all learned. I think the shape of the eyes was fine. If you wanted to really just bring things back into proportion, the only thing I would do is just move the eyebrows and the eyes down a little bit so that the three equal portions of the face are relatively proportional. But again, this is hard to do without a reference because you don't know what the original person looked like. I don't think it's necessary to make the eyes rounded instead of keeping the original shape, because at this point you're just changing the style. You Samda's artified her. When your style is so recognizable that you become a verb.
Yo, today you draw with me, so grab a sheet and a pen and let's go. So today we're gonna draw a skeleton skull, and you'll see it's kind of super simple to draw. So getting started is easy. We start to make a rectangle in perspective, and then the two
Is that a box?
visible faces, you will separate them equally with lines. That's how it is. Then we just draw a kind of circle inside the box, and another on the side that will serve us roughly as a marker for the skull. Then we make another one above, and then we just draw this line which passes right in the middle. And after that, you will place the two small lines which will be used to place the jaw for the moment we get that. And we're going to move on to serious jumps there. I added a few small shadows, and then you do the eyes, try to give a depth effect, because that we made a head of three car faces after you go to the cheekbones and the top of the skull. I hope it's clear enough what I'm showing, and now we're tackling the jawline. Remember to draw the line to separate, to know where do we place the teeth here, and then you are just going to place a line above a line below, and then there is only to draw the teeth. Hop, 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 nickel. And now we have about finished the drawing.
It's not bad. But you see, here's the skull of my enemy. And what happened to your jaw? Okay, technical difficulties. Just comparing the two, if you're looking at a skull from a 3/4 angle like this, you see this jawbone right here? Unless you're built like a Lego minifigure, your jaw doesn't go that far back, okay? So on this skull, if you just push the jaw forward a little bit, you're gonna have a nearly perfect skull. And that was a pretty good process for having started with a box. 8 out of 10. How I draw fire, in case you guys were wondering how to draw fire. Draw a shape LOL. Great start. Erase the edges with circle-like shapes, okay? So this is a method of reduction, I like that. Darken the tips. In this case, they use an orange color, okay, that's good. Some brighter color inside. This is very important for getting that glowing look in a flame. And then brighter inside plus slightly darker edges, okay, good. Little fiery things to make it look alive, good. Overlay with red/orange/yellow as preferred, very good. And optional blue overlay, that's interesting. This is great, this is very reliable. Whenever you want to draw something that's glowing, just make it bright as possible on the inside and make it fade out. This final slide is so interesting to me because blue and orange are complementary colors. And by adding a blue glow, what you're doing is you're adding a complementary color that creates even more contrast. So it makes that center point look like it's glowing even more. Just an interesting color theory concept. If you want to learn more about color theory, I have a tutorial on just that topic on my Patreon this month. For all the babies. We got another one of these guys, Art Tips for Drawing Part 3. Good. This one means to pay attention to your perspectives and stop running from your hand responsibilities. Beginner mistake. Right. Traps. Important. Remember that. Apparently it's wrong to have good posture now. Alright. I'm gonna do the rest of this video like this. 10 out of 10.
It's one thing to know how to draw a building from scratch on an open plane of nothing. But what if you want to integrate it within a landscape in a dynamic way? Well, let's look at a riverside. And what do you know? A water mill. Coexisting with natural forces, allowing you to construct such marvelous mechanical structures. Another one is a narrow valley. Well, how about we bridge the gap with a building atop, like a roadside tavern, or in this case, a bridge-top saloon. And with the wind flowing steady through this valley, how about adding a windmill or two? Okay, maybe one more. A rock face. Fairly bland, you might think, but whoa! What's this? An inner structure carved inside and out as a hall of wonders.
This is so good, man. I love the creativity here. How to cross-hatch. Alright, she looks a little bit like a zombie here, but you know what? It's the thought that counts. Now, I've seen this contour-based cross-hatching technique before, which is very cool, and when it's applied correctly, like on the eyes here, It's really fantastic. Basically, this just means that if you look at a surface like this, you want to trace your hatches based on the curvature of that surface. So any round surfaces like the side of my face here, you're going to cross hatch this way and not the other way. Really cool. Execution could have been better, but 8 out of 10. Good job.
Most people fail to turn their rough sketch into a realistic portrait for one simple reason. They don't realize that we can't see outlines on human faces, so your sketch will keep changing. This is why from now on we need to work on the portrait as a whole and not just individual features like the eyes. Shading your portrait adds volume to the sketch, which then makes your mistakes obvious and easy to fix. And if you struggle to shade your values correctly, edit your reference to black and white. Then start by shading the darkest areas which add contrast so that your drawing doesn't look flat. I use soft pencils without pressing hard. And only later I start using harder pencils to add smoothness to the face. And for the hair, shape your eraser like this so you can make sharp highlights which look like individual hairs.
Jeez, that looks good. So she makes a really good point about not being able to see people in outlines. I mean, any sketch you draw is going to consist of lines, but those lines are going to start taking on a different look when you start adding volume and shading to them. So I guess just to mirror this point, I also want to add that you don't want to be too tied down to your sketches. Don't get emotionally attached to those lines. Keep them nice and light, because when you're shading on paper, they're going to be changing all the time. Good job, 8 out of 10. How to color skin anime. Okay. Do that and don't draw black people. What the? You're adding brown? Oh dear. Oh, where's this going? The bottom one looks better. What are we talking about here? What? Not gonna lie, I thought you were talking about black people at first. You had me in the first half. For that, I'm gonna give you a 1 out of 10.
Why would you dive straight into a drawing with pen? I get asked this question all the time while I'm working on location, because normally starting with a pencil is how you avoid making mistakes, right?
True.
But the way I see it is that there are 2 values. The first is accuracy, which has to do with how realistic your drawing looks compared to real life. But the second is story, which has to do with your interpretation of what it's like to be there in person. So today I'm on 42nd Street standing in front of the library, and there's this shuffle of the to be there in person. So today I'm on 42nd Street standing in front of the library, and there's this shuffle of the street that I'm trying to compete against. And so in a way, working with my mistakes rather than trying to hide all of them is going to add a sense of authenticity. It's going to say, hey, I was actually here and I just went for it. And it's this quality that I love sharing the most with other people, because it adds a flexibility as to what it means to capture an event, a location, or an experience. In the end, your work doesn't necessarily need to be perfect.
Yes.
It just needs to be honest.
Oh, I love it. You take that message, you take your ear holes, and you shove it in there, all right? It doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be honest. Just be authentic. You know what? In fact, it's impossible not to make any mistakes in your work, unless you're like, art god. I make mistakes in my work all the time. None of it is perfect, but that's what makes your work uniquely yours. All right, so own up to that. Make mistakes. Like Bob Ross once said, happy little accidents. All right, and if you made it all the way here, thank you for going on this adventure with me to the depths of TikTok. We've had some really good tutorials today, surprisingly. So to the TikTok creators, good job, guys. Keep it up. And to you guys watching this video, if you have yet to subscribe, oh jeez, what are you waiting for? You want to end up like this? Because I'll make it happen. That's it. Check out my Patreon for monthly tutorials and process videos, and I also have a bunch of wallpapers on there for you guys to make your phones look Sam Does Artified. Caught a cold, guys. I've been trying to recover from a cold for the last week. That last video that I put up was shot like 3 weeks ago, because I've been out. That cold just took me, headlocked me, gave me an elbow to the face, and just Y'all stay safe, stay healthy out there, all right?